So I'm happy you're watching this lesson. I'm teacher Katimbo Richard, teaching mathematics primary 6. Today we are looking at area, perimeter and circumference as part of length, mass and capacity as a topic. So we are still looking at the length, that is in metric units. Anything to do with the meters, centimeters, anything ending with meters, we are there for it today. So we are looking at area, perimeter and circumference. As I said, area means a region of coverage. A region of coverage, that is area. So then perimeter means total distance around any object with a flat surface. Any object with a flat surface, when you move around it, it is termed as perimeter in mathematics. Then circumference is the total distance around any circular object. Circumference is the total distance around any circular object. So those are the three terms we are looking at. That is area, perimeter, and circumference. So as we look at them, we must note this formula. Look at this formula and then have them into account, or take account of them. So that is about area of a circle, you get pi r squared. Pi r squared. Then area of a semicircle is a half pi r squared. Then area of a quadrant equals a quarter pi r squared. Then area of any circle sector, apart from these two, you get given angle out of 360 times pi r squared. You have heard me say pi, and you have long heard people saying pi. And the question is, what is pi? Pi is the number of diameters that can be obtained or cut from the circumference of the very circle in which the experiment is made. So pi is the number of diameters that can be cut from the circumference of the very circle. Now the question is, how many diameters can be obtained from the circumference of the very circle? Then there are 3 1/7 diameters. So there are 3 1/7 diameters. So pi is equal to 3 1/7. Pi is equal to 3 1/7. That's the mother of all the pi's. So we use 3 whole numbers, 1 out of 7. When you convert that mixed fraction 3 1/7 to an improper fraction, you get 20 out of 7. That's why you see us using 20 out of 7. And when you divide 22 by 7, you get 3.14 something. So it was rounded off to the nearest hundredths so that you use 3.14. So you see the equivalent of pi as 3 1/7, which is original, or 20 out of 7, or 3.14. But the 3 1/7 is the mother for all the other two. So please, you must know why 3 1/7. They are the number of diameters that can be cut or obtained from the circumference of the very circle. Remember I said circumference is the distance around any circular object. So that is the pi. So pi is never constant. You can be told take pi as 3 1/7, take pi as 20 out of 7, take pi as 3.14. So it is ever constant because it means the number of diameters that can be obtained or cut from the circumference of the very circle. So we shall use that pi as dictated by the examiner, as we shall see today. So note that when you ask for the area of the circle, you are going to use pi r squared, where r means radius. You must know the radius of the circle at this juncture. Then area of a semicircle, use a half pi r squared. Then area of a quadrant is a quarter pi r squared, and area of any circle sector equals given angle out of 360 times pi r squared. The circle sector, or sector means part or portion. So the circle portion that doesn't have a name is remaining as a circle portion or circle sector. But there are two circle sectors with names, one semicircle and a quadrant. A semicircle is a half of a circle, and a quadrant is a quarter of a circle. This is what's called a semicircle. This, the shape. This is what's called a quadrant, which is a quarter of a circle. And this is called just a circle sector without a name. It is a nameless circle sector. So this is also a circle sector with a name called a quadrant. This is as well a circle fraction or circle sector, which is called a semicircle. But these ones don't have names, so they remain circle sectors. So they will ever give us an angle for us to trace a fraction of a circle it constitutes. So then, when one is asked for circumference, these are the formulae you're going to use. For example, circumference of a circle, you're going to use pi d, or you can use 2 pi r, or say pi 2r if you want it. But we normally use pi d. That's if you are varying with diameter. D stands for diameter. And if you are varying with radius, you use 2 pi r. 2 pi r. So then when you go to circumference of a semicircle, you say a half pi d. A half pi d. Because the flat surface is ever in diameter. This one is in diameter. So then we go. Circumference of a quadrant equals a quarter times 2 pi r. A quarter of 2 pi r. So that is the way. So then other circle sectors, that is circumference of a circle sector equals given angle out of 360 times 2 pi r. Given angle out of 360 times 2 pi r. At another level that is higher than P6, they will say theta. Theta out of 360 times 2 pi r. But here, tower level, primary will say given angle out of 360 times 2 pi r. Then perimeter of a semicircle, quadrant, and a circle sector. So perimeter of a semicircle equals a half pi d plus d. A half pi d plus d. Then perimeter of a quadrant is a quarter of 2 pi r plus 2r. Look at the way they are written. These brackets are very important. Then go perimeter of any other circle sector equals given angle out of 360 times 2 pi r. That's in brackets, then plus the 2 radii. That's those are the formula we're going to use in this very lesson, and which, when watched and successfully understood, one will be able to answer all the activities from page 22 all the way to 26 of our P6 term 3 workbook. Ensure you have it ready as you follow the teacher, and here does the teacher start. So, example number 1. Find the radius. Okay, sorry, we start. The radius of a circle is 14 centimeters. Find its diameter. The radius of a circle is 14 centimeters. Find its diameter. So we normally start from known to unknown. From known to unknown. If you have got a circle like this line drawn from the circumference via the center to the circumference is what is termed as diameter. Whereas the one drawn from the circumference just to the center is called radius. Now, say it, a line drawn from the circumference to the center of a circle is called a radius, and the line via the center from the circumference to the other end of the circumference is called diameter. Then we note that two radii or two kinds of radius make diameter. So radius plus radius, you get diameter. So now that two radii make diameter, we use these two formulae to find the diameter. Given radius, you say diameter equals 2 radii, or diameter equals radius plus radius. So both will lead to the same answer, like we are going to see now. Start. Diameter is equal to 2 radii. Diameter is equal to 2 times radius. Now diameter equals 2 times the radius of 14 centimeters. So twice 14, you get 28 answer in centimeters. So diameter is equal to that 28 centimeters. It means that here we've got 14 centimeters as radius, and this is 14. So we've got two 14s to make the whole diameter. So you can as well use this formula that diameter is called radius plus radius. Diameter is called 14 centimeters plus another 14 centimeters. Add successfully to get 28 centimeter diameter. So any of the two works. That is if you wanted to use that. So go to number 2. Example number 2 reads, if the diameter of a circle is 56 decimeters, find the size of this radius. This time you have been availed with the diameter. To find the radius, we have found in number 1 the two radii make diameter, and so radius is a half of the diameter. So when you halve the spelling, that is H-A-L-V-E, you halve. To halve is to divide into 2 equal parts. When you divide the diameter into 2 equal parts, that is, if you halve the diameter, you get the radius. So radius equals diameter divided by 2. Radius equals our diameter given as 56 decimeters divided by 2. So do you divide by saying 2 by 2 once, 5 by 2 get 2, remainder 1 and get 16. 16 divided by 2 get 8, so our radius is 28 decimeters. That is our radius. Then we shall use these two, that is radius or diameter, to find whatever we must find. I must mention that number 1 and 2 must have been looked at in the previous classes. That's P4, 5, now we are in P6, and you normally learn from known to unknown. So I've reminded you of how you found the diameter as well as radius for the other 2 classes of P4 and 5. Now in P6 we are putting them to use. So do we use them in number 3? Use pi. Told you pi is ever very constant. Now they are dictating, that is the examiner tells you to use pi as 21/7 and find the circumference of a circle in each case. Now part A, find the circumference of a circle whose diameter is 21 centimeters. As you remember, circumference of a circle is given by these two formulae, pi d or 2 pi r, depending on the circumstances. So what is available to us is diameter, so the option is pi d. So for d means diameter, so we say circumference equals pi d. So circumference is called pi times d. They have told us to use or take pi as 21/7, so do we take it. So we say circumference is called 21/7 times r, 21 centimeter diameter. Before we start our cancellations now, we know 21 is the third multiple of 7, so must we divide by 7. So 7 divided by 7 once, 21 by 7 is the 3. So we only remain with 22 times 3, which 22 times 3 is 66. And now put the centimeters for diameter has been in centimeters, so circumference equals 66 centimeters. So the distance around the circle whose diameter is 21 centimeters is 66 centimeters. And I say the distance around the circle is termed as circumference. Now, what about if one availed you with radius like in B? It states or reads, find the circumference of a circle whose radius 35 centimeters. So now the option is 2 pi r, where r means radius, so circumference is called 2 pi r. Expand 2 pi r and say circumference is called 2 times pi times r, and pi is written as 20/7, so do you use it as well as the radius of 35 centimeters here. So substitute accordingly. We say 2 times 21/7 times 35 centimeters, also 35 is divisible by 7, so divide 7 by 7 once, 35 divided by 7 get 5. So we multiply the numerators. 2 times 22 get 44. That 44 times 5, answer will be in centimeters. Go part of work or side work, we say 44 times 5. Multiply accurately, so 5 times 4, you get 20. Write 0 and regroup 2. And 5 times 4 get 20 plus 2. Regrouped, you get 22. Thereby getting a circumference of 220 centimeters. given the radius of 35 centimeters taking pi at 20^7. So that's the way we find the radius, find the circumference when available either diameter or radius. So you will then be able to answer the activities when you asked for circumference of a circle given any of the two, that's diameter or radius, as we move along. And now we look at example number 4 and see what it has for us. Now this time use pi 3.14. Use pi 3.14 to find the circumference of a circle again, whose radius is 10 centimeters. So the only change is in the pi. The first pi that we used 10^7, now it is decimal fractional pi, which is 3.14. Like I said, pi can be 3 whole numbers, 1/7 or 3/7 or 20^7, then 3.14. Now we are saying use 3.14. You must note when the examiner tells you to use a particular pi, so must you use that very one without using the other. So for when you use 20^7 where 3.14 has been given, you get a different answer, and therefore no one will respect your answer and you will then fail. So use or take pi at 3.14 for these other parts, together with the many other parts you find in your book. So that booklet of P.6 term 3. So given the radius of 10 centimeters, find the circumference of a circle taking pi at 3.14. Now that you have given radius, the formula takes that r option. That is circumference equals 2 pi r, which means 2 times pi times r. And now substitute accordingly, circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the 10 centimeter radius. And now we learned how to convert this decimal fraction to a fraction of the numerator and denominator. So I've got 2 decimal places. So shall we have 2 zeros down when the point vanishes? So I have circumference equal to 2 times 314 out of 100. Why out of 100? 3.14 has got 2 decimal places. So then times 10 centimeters. And now we are detecting the divisibility of 10. So do we divide? So 10 by 10 you get 1, 100 by 10 you get 10. So do we remain with 2 times 314? So side work to multiply accurately 314 by 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So 314 times 2 is 628. So about 628 out of 10. So remember, there is involvement of the decimal, so we expect a decimal answer. So out of 10, this 10 that remains calls for 1 decimal digit or 1 decimal place. 1 digit after decimal. So 628 out of 10 gives rise to 62.8 centimeter circumference. So we expect an answer that is a decimal or a whole number. So wherever any operation is made on a decimal, whether addition, be it subtraction, multiplication, if it can also be that division, please, you expect a decimal answer. All a whole number, but not any other fraction, can make an answer to that. So has it brought a decimal which is expected? So it is likely to be correct. That is if we did multiply accurately. So have we multiplied accurately here and divided by 10 to get 62.8 centimeter circumference? What if 1 is given diameter like it is in B? So find the circumference of a circle's diameter 30 centimeters taking pi 3.14 this time. So still you say circumference called pi d because a given diameter as opposed to part A where we use 2 pi r. Why 2 pi r? Because we are given radius. Now pi d because d means diameter, and indeed you have diameter of 30 centimeters. Remember pi. And now pi d means pi times d, which pi is 3.14 times the diameter of 30 centimeters. still write the 314 out of 100, then multiply by 30 centimeters, and now cancel this 0. 30 by 10 you get 3, 100 by 10 you get 10. So do we multiply 314 by 3? Here in the side work, 314 times 3, 3 times 4 is 12. The tables of multiplication at work, write 2 and regroup 1, the next place value of tens. And 3 times 1 is 33 plus 1 get 4. And 3 times 3 is indeed 9. So 314 times 3, you get 942. Now out of our 10. So 942 out of 10 gives rise to 1 decimal place. So the answer is 94.2 centimeter circumference. So that's how we find the circumference. Asked to use the pi or taking pi at 3.14, and please, you will also be able to answer. Be careful about the pi and the factors affecting the choice of a pi. That is, if you are the one to choose. Remember number 1 and number 2, that is in number 3 and number 4, that is, you did not have any choice. For number 3 asked you to take pi at 307, and number 4 you had to use 3.14. But now, if the examiner did not tell us to use any of the 2 pi's, and yet we must do substitute that pi with any of those 2, what do? Now, what affects the choice of pi? We choose 20 out of 7 in case the diameter or radius given is a multiple of 7. If the diameter or radius given is a multiple of 7, like here, diameter is 21 centimeters, whereas 21 is the third multiple of 7. Radius is 35 centimeters, which 35 is a 50th multiple. It is the 50th multiple of 7. So, with or without 20 out of 7, we would still choose 20 out of 7 because those 2 given as diameter or radius are actually multiples of 7. So for multiples of 7, that is diameter or radius, please, the choice must be 22 out of 7 for easy division by 7. Then non-multiples of 7, if you are asked to choose your pi, please, the choice must ever be 3.14. Like you see here, radius is 10 centimeters. 10 is never a multiple of 7, so we will still choose 3.14. See 30 centimeter diameter here. 30 has never been and never will be a multiple of 7. So therefore, still the choice would be 3.14, whether told or not. So we choose 3.14 in case the radius or diameter given is a non-multiple of 7. And in case it's a multiple of that same 7, we choose 22 out of 7. Now, if you have indeed understood, you will then be able to answer the questions concerning finding the circumference of a circle given or not given the pi, and you will then be able to answer. Then we look at what number 5 or example number 5 has for us. Find the perimeter of each of the following shapes. Find the perimeter that's journey around these flat surfaced kind of shapes. They have got flat surfaces, that's why I call them perimeter. I said circumference is the journey around in circular object, whereas perimeter means the journey around an object with a flat or flat surfaces. It can be one or more than one. So, like you see, a semicircle has got this flat surface which we term as diameter. So that's why journey around it is called perimeter. So we can have circumference of a semicircle as well as perimeter. So the circumference just goes or moves just around this curved surface, the curved surface, the surface that's curved. Then perimeter includes the flat surface. So the journey around in in a semicircle is called perimeter. Whereas when you go just along each curved surface, you would have done the circumference. That's why the perimeter equals a half pi d plus d, whereas circumference alone is only a half pi d. A half pi d, then plus d becomes perimeter. So when you say plus d, then it is perimeter. Without the plus, it will be just the circumference, the curved surface only. So find the perimeter of this shape called a semicircle, and whose diameter is 14 centimeters. We start right away by stating the formula for finding the perimeter of this very semicircle. So perimeter is called half pi d plus d. A half pi d must be in brackets 10 plus d. And said semicircle is half of a circle which must ever be respected by starting with a half. So that's why we said a half pi d, a half of a circle, a half the journey around the circle plus the diameter, a half the journey around the circle. Remember, journey around the circle is pi d, then a half pi d, meaning a half the journey around the circle. So a half of the circumference plus then the diameter to be perimeter of that very shape called a semicircle. And remember, half pi d means half times pi times d, then later plus d. Now we substitute accordingly. Now here you have to choose the pi. Like I told you, you must know how to choose the pi appropriately. Look at the diameter given, 14. Is 14 a multiple of 7? Oh, so someone doesn't know table 7. Multiples, the first 10 multiples of 7 are 7, 14. Repeat after me. 7, 14. You are not responding. I'm repeating. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. After 42, 48, 56, 63, 70. So those are the first 10 multiples of 7. So when you see any of those called diameter or radius, you must then use 22 out of 7. So take that option of 12 out of 7. So are we going to use 12 out of 7 for 14, the second multiple of 7? So we say a half times 12 out of 7 times 14 centimeters, brackets, then plus the diameter of 14 centimeters. So these are put in brackets for you to deal with them first. So do you deal with them now? We have 14 and 7, and 2, which are actually, 14 and 7, which are actually divisible by 7. We said 7 by 7 once, then 14 by 7 make 2. Then I've got 2 as the numerator and 2 as the denominator. So divide by 2. 2 by 2, you get 1, 2 by 2 once. So that the distance from here up to here, that is the circumference, is 22 centimeters. So from here up to here, you may not put it there since you have the formula, but I wanted to show you that this 22 belongs to this sector, that curved surface, the arc. It's called the arc of a semicircle, the curved surface of a semicircle. So arc, curved surface and circumference are the same here in this sense. So this is the arc of a semicircle, this is the circumference of a semicircle, this is the curved surface of a semicircle. So the curved surface is 20 centimeters long. That's when you say half pi d up here, then plus diameter of 14. Remember, the diameter must entirely or wholly be added on without any cancellation whatsoever. So this is 14, the whole diameter is added on without any alteration anyway. So please ensure 14 is wholly added. So the circumference plus diameter, half pi d plus d. Like you see now, the circumference is 22 centimeters, then plus the 14 centimeters. Therefore, the perimeter has 36 centimeters. That is for a semicircle. Then, when you look at this shape, at the beginning I told you this is a quarter of a circle, which is termed as a quadrant. A quadrant is a quarter of a circle. Watch this. This is the spelling of quadrant. Quadrant is a quarter of a circle, and this is the shape. called a quadrant. Quadrant. The word is quadrant. Quadrant. The word is quadrant. What's a quadrant? Someone watching is not responding. So, a quadrant is a quarter of a circle. What's a quadrant? Okay, now you learned a quarter of a circle. So when the circle is cut into 4 equal parts, each of the 4 parts is called a quadrant. And this is a right angle which is called 90 degrees. With or without 90, we know it is actually a quadrant. So long as I've got a right angle here, then we shall know that that is a quarter of a circle, which is a quadrant. And the flat surfaces, each of them is called a radius. So that's got 2 radii. So this is radius and this is radius. So the flat surface of a quadrant is a radius, whereas the flat surface of a semicircle is called diameter. That's why we go to pi option here as opposed to pi d for a semicircle. So we go perimeter of the quadrant was stated in the formulae at first and say a quarter times 2 pi r plus the 2 radii. So this journey must be tracked as well. So radius and radius added. So there are 2 radii later added. So this is the arc plus the 2 radii. That's why the arc is put in brackets here. A quarter times 2 pi r plus the 2 radii. So now the radius is 7, which is actually multiple of 7 and the first one. So therefore, since the radius is multiple of 7, the choice of pi is 12 of 7 here. So we go. This means a quarter times 2 times pi times r plus 2 times r. Now we go a quarter, that's perimeter equals a quarter times 2 times 12 times 7 times 7 centimeters in brackets, please in brackets, then plus 2 times the radius 7 centimeters. And now because there are 2 7s, this is 7, this is also 7. So that journey must be added on later. If I told you to move around this quadrant successfully, then let's get the arc. How long the arc is, the length of the arc. So we divide by 2. 2 by 2 once, 4 by 2 get 2. Now I've got 22 and 2. 2 by 2 once, 22 divided by 2 get 11. So remember 7 once by 7 once. We only remain with 1 times 1 times 11 times 1 arc, which is 11 centimeters. So the journey from here, or the length of the arc, or the circumference, or the curved surface of the quadrant, then add around, find the perimeter. That is 11 centimeters plus 7 centimeters plus 7 centimeters. That's why we say 11 centimeters plus the 2 7s. 2 7s make 14. That's why it's the 14 here. So 11 centimeters plus the 14 centimeter length, you get the 25 centimeter perimeter of that quadrant. As we look at this part C, find the perimeter of this nameless circle sector. So it doesn't have a name like a semicircle has, as well as a quadrant. This is called a circle sector without a name, that is. So perimeter of the circle sector equals given angle out of the 360 times 2 pi r plus 2r. Why? These are radii also. The radius is 14, but it has got 2 radii. So this is radius and this is no radius. So this is 14 centimeters and this is 14 centimeters. That's why we say 2 14s, 2 radii, 2 14s. So we substitute accordingly. What's the given angle? 60. So it says 60 out of 360 times 2 times 20 out of 7. Why 20 out of 7? 14 is the multiple. And the second multiple of 7. So we choose 20 out of 7 as pi. Then times 14 centimeters, that will be the circumference, plus the 2 radii, 2 14s, 2 times 14 centimeters. And then we start our cancellations. We say cancel by 10 and by 10. You remain with 36. So 6 out of 36. And 6 by 6 you get 1. And 36 divided by 6 you get a 6. So that you get a 6th of a circle. So that's 1 out of 6. Then you say 7 by 7 once, 14 by 7 you get 2. And now we have these numerators to multiply. 2 times 22 is 44. 44 times 2 you get 88. So I've got 88 centimeters. So a 60 times 88 centimeters plus the 2 14s. 2 14s make 28. So that's plus 28 centimeters. And now reduce by 2 further. 6 divided by 2 get 3. 88 divided by 2 get 44. So we've got 44 out of 3. So we still have 44 out of 3 centimeters. Still in brackets then plus the whole 28 centimeters. I told you this must never be cancelled. That's why I put them in brackets here. To get a first outcome, then later we add the 2 radii lengths. So we divide 44 by 3, whether like or not, or whether divisible or not. We divide by 3 once, and 4 divide by 3, get 1 remainder 1. 14 divided by 3, get 4 remainder 2, and get 14 and 2/3 as circumference. So from here up to here is 14 and 2 out of 3 centimeters. 14 and 2/3 centimeters. And remember, this is already 14 centimeters. 2 14s when added, 14 plus 14, you get that 28 plus this 14 and 2/3. So we say 14 and 2/3 centimeters plus 28 centimeters. What we do is to add these one numbers, then 2/3 comes onto your answer or our answer. 14 plus 28, where 4 plus 8 get 12, right 2 regroup 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2 get 4. So get 42 and 2/3 centimeter perimeter for that circle sector. Circle sector without a name, so it remains the circle sector. The other two are semicircle and the quadrant. They have good names. So this is a circle portion sector without a name, so it remains the circle sector. So that's the way we find the perimeter for any circle sector. Whoever varies us with an angle, please, it's the given angle to be given to you, and then answer accordingly. As we look at the last example for this particular episode, and so does it read, find the area of a circle whose radius is 14 meters. Find the area of a circle whose radius is 14 centimeters. For the area, whether given diameter or radius, you must use radius. And the formula will never change. Area of a circle is called pi r squared, where r means radius. Whether like or not, please must use radius. So I taught you how to find the radius given diameter. Please, even if you are given diameter here, first get the radius and then apply the pi r squared and then you answer. So area is called pi r squared. What does pi r squared mean? Expansion, it means pi times r times r. So right, area equals pi times r. Look at the radius, 14 meters indeed. It's a mile from 7. So take pi as 20 out of 7, not 3.14. So you say area equals 20 out of 7 times 14 meters. This time they are meters, maintain the units. Then times another radius of 14 meters. Then you start dividing by 7 once. 14 divided by 7 get 2. You remain with 2 times 2, 22. 2 times 22, you get 44 now times 14. So right here, side work or part of work, and do multiply 44 by 14. 4 times 4 is 16, right? 6 will group 1. And again, 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 will group, you get 17. Then 1 times 4 is the 4. Again, 1 times 4 is the 4. So do we add, as usual, then get the answer. Add in a particular line, and then do get the outcome. Here, 6. 7 plus 6 plus 4, you get 11, right? 1 and 1. 1 plus 1 plus 4, you get 6. So 44 times 14, you get 616. So you get 616. Whereas meters times meters, you get meters squared, or square meters if you wanted to mention it that way. So area equals 616 square meters, or 616 meters squared, thereby covering area, perimeter, and circumference as promised. So that work, as I said, will be found from page 22 all the way to 26 of our workbook, term 3 P.6. And for more information about the same, or mathematics in general, please don't hesitate to reach this very teacher, Teacher Katimbo, on these 2 lines. One is for MTN, another one for Airtel. The MTN one is 0776 251655. I repeat, 0776 251655. Alternatively, I said you can use the Airtel line, that is 07572 33066. I repeat, 07572 33066. Otherwise, that's the end of the lesson. Please, thank you for watching. We'll meet in the next episode. Please, bye.